Welcome to Dorset County in the southwest of England. This is where I spend most of my holiday this year, and we start off with a fantastic view of the North Sea and Cheddar Beach, 29 kilometers in length, full of shingles, and ends at the Isle of Portland. We'll get to that point soon. A closer look at the beach, you can see that by shingles I meant these little stones. Not very comfortable to walk on, but surprisingly comfy to sit in. It is also part of the Jurassic coast of England. But enough about that, let's talk about the cities. This here is Dorchester, the capital of Dorset. It's such a drab city that I couldn't really be bothered to film too much about it. But Weymouth on the other hand, now that was a lovely little seaside city. It had nice shops, it had a great chippy, it had also a very nice little seaside walk that ends at the Jubilee Clock Tower. These clocks are dotted all around the English landscape to mark Queen Victoria's 50 or 60-year jubilee, also known as the Golden or Diamond one. Though you wouldn't find as many as the Bismarckturms in Germany, for instance. Weymouth Harbour was also very important in the past. These days it's used mostly for trading fish. It also served as a staging point for the invasion of Normandy in 1944 and as a host for the 2012 Summer Olympic sailing events. The beach here is also made up of sand instead of rocks, as we see when we take a short drive to the Isle of Portland. Basically one giant rock in the middle of the sea, and also home of one of the largest man-made naval harbors in the world. The Royal Navy fortified this island and used it as their naval base up until 1995. And from those white limestone hills you quarry out Portland stone, used famously in the construction of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. I'll get to that one in another video. But back on the island, you can stumble upon ruins like these, the high-angle batteries, designed to lob shells at enemy ships without any risk of being shot back. Unless you are extremely lucky with mortar fire. Another much more well-preserved defensive structure of the island is Portland Castle. Built during the height of Tudor power to defend against France and the Holy Roman Empire, its greatest enemy was itself, the castle mostly seen action during the English Civil War. After that, it just served as a deterrent for preventing ships coming into Portland Harbour, with the castles on the other side near Weymouth just creating a lovely little crossfire. After both World Wars, the castle was reconstructed in the 16th century style to showcase how a Tudor garrison might live in it. The food platters are unfortunately fake. Trust me, I tried. You can also try your hand at some of the board games they had back in the day. My favorite one was just to push a coin with the palm of my hand. The castle's semicircular or fan design was pretty unusual for 16th century. And you would never believe what material this one has been made out of. If you've guessed Portland stone, then you win a prize. And the prize is footage of me walking through the villages of this island. I'm going to be honest with you, I quite like this place. The homes are small and cute, it has a fantastic view of the seaside and Cheddar Beach as well, and there's a decent selection of pubs you can pub crawl to try out all their ales. You can also get some good exercise, as it is built on a steep hill. And if you end up with weather like this, watching a sunset with an ale in one hand and the camera on the other, perfect. Just perfect. But it's not the end of the video just yet, for we are now at the edge of Portland Island, also known as Portland Bill. That coast over there is where I filmed the Welcome to Dorset bit. That fenced area is where the British Ministry of Defence actually run their magnetic tests for, I don't know, compasses or mine-clearing vessels. While that is the Portland Bill Lighthouse, still in use today to guide ships across the English Channel. In that general direction you will find Normandy Beach, which plugs in very nicely to the D-Day Centre and World War II Museum that you can also find on the Isle of Portland. I was like a kid in a candy shop. This is a small museum, but it is extremely interactive. What I mean by extremely interactive is that you have plentiful opportunities to handle instruments or implements of war. Want to operate an anti-aircraft gun? Sure, climb in, go right ahead. Want to handle some shells or grenades? Go upstairs and take a bazooka, maybe an M1 carbine or a Garand? Or even climb the back of a jeep to use its machine gun? boy, have you come to the right place. But besides all the interactive elements, there's quite a lot of history in this place. Details about the invasion of Normandy, individual stories of soldiers, even artifacts from the field of battle. If that is your thing, you can find it here as well. There is also a small exhibition of the other side of the war, namely the Atlantic Wall, the fortifications the Germans used to try to repel the invasion of Normandy. And speaking of fortifications, this is the courtyard of a castle dating all the way from William I when he conquered England. It is one of the oldest fortifications left in Dorset, and it is known as Corfe Castle. A sort of romantic depiction of a medieval castle on top of a hill. They didn't cut any corners when they built it. No, what they cut instead was massive amounts of Purbeck limestone, which resulted in a fortification near impregnable to any conventional army. So how do you conquer such an imposing structure? You have to resort to subterfuge. During the English Civil War, the castle fell under royalist control, but one of the garrisoning officers was not too happy about that. Besieged by parliamentarian forces, that officer was sent out to try to reinforce the castle's garrison. But that officer was colluding with the parliamentarians. Therefore, he returned with 100 of their men, disguised as royalists. Attacked from inside and out, the castle fell in 1645. Not long after, the parliamentarians claimed victory in the English Civil War, and on their orders, the castle was slighted to its current state that we see today. By that, I mean they tried to blow it up, but being such a massive stone structure, at one point they just had to go like, oh yeah, looks pretty blown up to me, mate, we don't need to bother anymore doing it. And quite a lot of the stones from the blown up castle ended up being used to rebuild the village that we see here. And that was the county of Dorset for now. I know there is still Poole and Bournemouth as cities that I need to visit, but for now, I leave you in the hands of the Swanage Heritage Railway and its beautiful steam engine.
That's quite a bit of locomotive, ain't it?
Because this part of Dorset that I visited needs a video in itself. Until next time.